Imagine a world without locks, where the night closes in with shadows and silence, and every creak of wooden beams could signal the approach of an unwelcome guest. This was medieval Lifan era, when the very bones of a house murmured secrets, and the art of preventing a break-in relied as much on cunning as on courage. Iron bars groaned like old men in the wind. Pebbles crunched beneath stealthy steps, and unseen hands slid secret latches to safety. It was a symphony of simple, yet ingenious, defenses. Join us as we unravel the ancient craft of securing one's home. No tech, just timeless grit. Let's step into the shadowy corridors of the medieval world and explore age-old security secrets, where wood and iron forged the first lines of defense. Envision yourself in a time when each creak of a latch told a story, and the most straightforward solutions bore the weight of safeguarding home and hearth. How did they manage without our advanced technology? The answers lie in their resourcefulness and the materials they trusted most. Picture a stone-walled cottage, the air thick with the earthy scent of timber and straw. Here stands a heavy wooden door, kept ajar only by the forceful presence of a thick plank arching across the entrance. It is a stark piece of wood resting silently on two forged iron brackets. This isn't just a rudimentary obstacle. It's a testament to practical wisdom, enduring centuries without needing complex mechanisms. Lords and peasants alike found security in this reliable barricade, medieval sentinel demanding brute force and an eruption of noise to conquer. In the hush of night, sound itself became a guardian. The creak of a wooden latch was just as vital to security as a vigilant hound or a trusty fence. As moonlight cast silver across thatched roofs, the subtle groan of a door was enough to stir the household. Every night was laden with the possibility of stealthy intruders, making the ominous lullaby of creaking hinges a formidable deterrent. These noises formed a living alarm system, turning any entry into a challenge, especially when a sturdy wooden bar was engaged behind them. Wood and iron, their cooperation hinted at meanings deeper than mere utility. To the medieval mind, these materials symbolized resilience, strength, and the intricate dance of flexibility and endurance. Imagine an artisan laboring over his forge, bending raw metal into purpose. Each iron loop and wooden bar spoke of societal values, innovation, strength, and a determination to safeguard against the dark. Every plank and bracket wasn't just a barrier. They were symbols brought to life by the common individual's ingenuity. The creativity of the peasant class shone brightly through their humble defenses. Without grand fortifications, they crafted barriers from what was available. Envision them gathering in a village square, sharing knowledge and tactics for securing their precious homes. Large stones embedded with markings, or logs studded with iron nails, hinted at profound stories of resourcefulness. Even methods like coating thresholds with pitch revealed a practical yet cunning layer of deterrence. The essence of their security lay in simple, shared wisdom and a solidarity born from necessity rather than grandeur. Community played a crucial role in medieval security, a collective barrier against the unknown. Picture a village where doors weren't just boundaries, they were openings into a wider web of trust and vigilance. Neighbors bolstered each other's defenses, maintaining nightly watches with an implicit understanding of shared responsibility. Each familiar noise was parsed and interpreted by ears ready to spring into action, proof that there was power in numbers. Together, they formed a familial bastion of safety, their unity echoing the steadfast strength of the wood and iron defenses nestled within each home. Yet these defenses weren't just about external threats. Step inside the mind of a medieval soul grappling with fears, both physical and mystical. The unknown trickled in through eerie tales whispered by firelight of spectral figures and desperation-driven burglars lurking in the shadows. Placing a wooden bar across a door wasn't merely a physical act. It was a gesture of reassurance against these anxieties, a tactile comfort in a world of uncertainty. Every bar laid was both a guard and an embrace against the encroaching night. This medieval world was alive with sound of vibrant orchestra, where silence rarely played its part. Fire crackled in the hearth, wolves howled in the distance, and the turn of a latch became a pivotal moment where safety was both heard and felt. In this era, sound wove layers of security through walls and windows, rendering any eavesdropper a sentinel in their own right. The medieval ear, accustomed to these acoustic cues, became a keeper of security, reflecting a culture deeply attuned to the whispers of its environment. Doors transcended their function, standing as symbols and thresholds to both protection and community identity. Approaching one meant negotiating entry not just into a space, but into a shared sphere of trust and kinship. Protective carvings, biblical verses, and even personal touches, like children's growth markings, transformed doors into emotional guardians, tying personal history to practicality. Each doorway became a microcosm of identity and protection, known to its village by both its design and its occupants. As we draw the curtain on this first chapter, consider the lasting legacy of these methods. The wooden bar across a threshold serves not just as a historical artifact, but as a testament to humanity's enduring quest for safety through simplicity and shared wisdom. In these primitive yet effective solutions, we find echoes of a society's determination to protect and preserve a lesson that transcends both time and technology. This tale sets the stage for deeper explorations into the captivating, often enigmatic world of medieval security. Each method is a puzzle piece in a grander picture of survival. In the heart of the medieval world, a different kind of hero emerged, the ingenious woodworker. Unlike the architects of grand castles, these artisans held the quiet mastery of crafting, intricate secret latches, and sliding bolts. Their creations were more than simple mechanisms. They were wooden puzzles designed to stump the unfamiliar. Whether in quaint villages or bustling cities, these devices formed an essential barrier against the outside world. Though simple by today's standards, the creativity poured into them was truly boundless. Woodworkers understood the idiosyncrasies of their materials, using the grain and strength of wood to their advantage. Each mechanism was meticulously carved, tested, and perfected to endure years of use. Wooden, abundant resource became a versatile tool in their hands. These mechanisms weren't just functional. They often bore symbols or carvings that spoke of family crests or local traditions, challenging intruders to solve not only a mechanical puzzle, but also to interpret hidden messages. In this context, latches became more than protective devices. They were a statement of the owner's status and sophistication, while iron locks were a luxury only the wealthy could afford. Secret wooden latches offered an equally formidable, more affordable deterrent. At first glance, medieval homes appeared unassuming, their exteriors giving little hint of the clever secrets within. The most ingenious of these defenses was the secret latch, known only to family members, requiring specific sequences or pressures. These devices stymied outsiders and became heirlooms passed through generations. This guarded knowledge was akin to a medieval password, transforming simple security into encoded heritage, blending practicality with personal and family identity. Beyond familial significance, these latches served as silent custodians of the household. Families revered these mechanisms as part of their legacy. Much like oral histories, they served as symbols of continuity, bridging utility with tradition and imbuing each generation with a shared responsibility to protect their home and loved ones. Entrusted with these secrets, family members recognized their deep connection to the home and its past, acknowledging their pivotal roles in safeguarding their shared history beyond the simplicity of wooden bars. Lay elaborate puzzles crafted from pegs and pins. Interlocking wooden rods required intricate sequences to disengage, turning an ordinary door into a challenging fortress. Like ancient cryptic locks, these mechanisms required deft knowledge to unlock knowledge often held by the family head or a trusted craftsman. The pride derived from these devices transcended their basic function. They were a source of joy, presenting a formidable barrier forged from simple materials, a testament to the wisdom and resourcefulness of a household facing insecurity. This subtle mix of art and engineering employed surprise as a powerful tool. A seemingly simple door concealed hidden snags designed to thwart unauthorized attempts. Surprise proved valuable, introducing delays and confusion. This psychological edge was nearly as crucial as the physical barrier, offering homeowners time to prepare and respond. It was a quiet guardian of the household, passively defending against audacious intruders who relied on brute force. Interestingly, these systems reflected family traditions steeped in security. As families passed latches down generations, constructing new ones became rites of passage. Children learned early to respect these mechanisms, understanding that their home's safety relied on their discretion. These deep-rooted traditions intertwined with broader cultural norms, reflecting a communal responsibility toward protection and survival. However, crossing the home's threshold meant confronting captivating puzzles. Medieval doors designed for confusion required special knowledge or timing to open a deterrent for thieves more accustomed to haste than patience. Doors with these puzzles reflected a delicate interplay between simplicity and sophistication, rewarding careful consideration with access while stereotyping those lacking patience as unwelcome. The villagers who created these barriers understood the beauty and complexity residing in everyday life, drawing boundaries between the known and the unknown, while craftsmanship displayed technological ingenuity. Trust was the true foundation. Protecting these systems, community secrets fostered collective security, creating an unwritten pact that shielded homes from outsider interference while promoting a collective sense of safety. Trust knit a shared bond within villages, cultivating a sense of belonging that was key to survival. This intimate knowledge created an extended family sensation among communities, affirming the paramount importance of identity and loyalty in a world where anonymity posed the greatest threat. Despite class differences, wooden latches featured in both noble estates and peasant cottages. For the wealthy, they were masterpieces, intricately carved with hidden compartments that mirrored the grandeur around them. For common folk, the concepts were adapted to their means, humble yet durable, constructions that protected meager accumulations, though different in execution. Their purpose remained constant: protection without excess. These variations, while bridging class divides, also promoted a culture of knowledge sharing and creativity. Medieval artisans often looked to nature for inspiration, adopting strategies from animal behaviors such as birds' nests or spiders' webs, embedding security in blendings with their environment. Ingenious designs camouflaged security measures, ensuring they remained concealed. Craftsmen, much like beehive makers or trappers, adopted clever techniques for designs that blended with surroundings. Ultimately, medieval latches invite reflection on the enduring creativity and human ingenuity we still cherish today. They mirror our timeless urge to safeguard what we hold dear, demonstrating that simplicity melded with sophistication provides not only physical security but peace of mind. These artifacts resonate beyond their historical origins, capturing the balance of adaptation, resourcefulness, and trust that persists through the ages, even in the subtle resonance of a wooden latch sliding quietly into place in the maze-like interiors of medieval strongholds. The art of defense was as much about illusion as it was about stone and mortar. Imagine a world where every door might lead you astrowhere. A hinge wasn't just metal and wood, but a cunning contraption meant to baffle even the cleverest intruder. In the absence of modern alarms, the medieval architect wielded deception as a craft, creating deceptive hinges that turned a simple wooden door into a secretive guardian. At first glance, these hinges seemed ordinary, but they were designed to mislead. A door might swing unexpectedly, whisking the unknowing intruder back to where they started, illustrating a cat-and-mouse game where the castle itself played the mischievous feline. The allure and fear of these hinges lay in their understated ingenuity. To the uninformed, they appeared mundane, yet tales of befuddled thieves spiraling through corridors, chased by echoes of their own missteps, were legendary. These stories weren't mere folklore. They served as both entertainment and a cunning deterrent, painting a picture of castles as not just fortifications, but intricate riddles wrapped in stone. Venturing further, the deception continued with false doors. A false door might beckon with promises of treasure or escape, but more often than not, it led nowhere. Crafted meticulously to mirror their functional counterparts, these impostors were strewn across spaces where time was of the essence. For any infiltrator, treasury hall, a storeroom, or a secret chamber, the medieval mind enchanted reality with imagination, creating panic amidst stone walls. Its genius lay in the lost seconds and mounting confusion of unwelcome guests. Even whispers of curses or ghosts lurking behind these dead ends lent them a surreal aura, capturing the superstitious age's imagination. But deception didn't end with doors and hinges. Hidden side entrances were integral to a castle's strategic brilliance. Shrouded behind tapestries, or etched within shadowed alcoves. These clandestine paths were both an escape route for residents and a trap for invaders. They were the stuff of whispered nighttime tales, of attackers ensnared not by force but by an unseen hand, guiding them into a den of soldiers. These secret passageways ensured that even in siege, the castle breathed possibility, a place of secretive chess moves, where every stone had a role to play, whether as refuge or revelation. Yet nothing captured the medieval imagination quite like trapdoors. The thought of walking across a floor only to be swallowed whole by the earth was enough to evoke palpable dread in any hostile visitor. Beneath the hallways and chambers lay a realm of hidden Manessa, swift lift of timber, a drop into darkness, an unwelcome encounter with the earth's bowels. For the defenders, it wasn't just about capturing an enemy. It was storytelling through architecture, a reminder of nature's unpredictable, frightening depths echoing through silent stone halls. In this world of hidden threats, medieval cunning extended to seemingly mundane elements like shutters and concealed paths. A simple-looking panel might swing open to reveal a hidden corridor, granting access to the fortress's secret watchpost. Here, the constructor's genius lay not in complexity, but in subtlety, secrets kept by whisper rather than weapon, whose knowledge separated the trusted from the traitors. Even in daylight, any visitor, friend or foe, could sense the silent, watchful presence hidden just beyond sight, promising that the most vulnerable spaces were unseen yet always vigilant. Medieval society saw a battle not only against physical threats but also against doubt and ignorance. Outsiders looking to infiltrate these defenses faced more than wooden puzzles. They met a social riddle, as each secret pass reinforced a rigid hierarchy of belonging. To the alien, these defenses were not just barriers but marks of exclusion, loudly declaring that true strength lay in trust and whispered lore passed down like family heirlooms. In this theater of wood and stone, played out by craftsmen, the unsung carpenters whose deft hands and sharp minds created the locks and ledges upon which entire defenses balanced. They transformed timber into clever allies, where each grain of wood held the wisdom of 1,000 secret schemes. It was never just about craftsmanship. It was about joining the dance of defense strategy, seamlessly blending art with practicality. Hidden rooms added another layer in this labyrinthine dance. Secret chambers, known only to a select few, stories of concealed vaults storing royal treasures or providing safe harbor during a siege, enriched the tapestry of oral traditions. Castle narratives grew, enthralling and warning audiences alike, reinforcing lessons wrapped in mysterious lore. In passing down these stories, a history that might have faded into dust was instead cast into stone and memory, cementing its place as an eternal guardian, woven through time's restless flow. In the medieval world, gravel paths served as more than mere walkways. They were a home's nocturnal sentinels. Imagine a night steeped in shadows where even the stars refused to pierce the inky black. Amidst this silence, an intruder treads lightly towards a seemingly unguarded dwelling. With each step, the gravel crunches beneath their feet, a piercing sound that slices through the night and announces their every move. This simple yet effective measure was enough to freeze would-be prowlers in their tracks, from the grand estates of nobility to the unassuming abodes of peasants. The unique acoustics of gravel-sharp stones laid irregularly amplified footfalls, turning paths into early warning systems that roused both people and animals alike. Alongside these gravelly alarms stood the symphony of creaking gates, blacksmiths of the time, well aware of the power of sound, designed gates that groaned and screeched in protest when disturbed. Iron and wood combined in melodies of deterrence, ensuring that any attempt at stealth was met with a cacophony in a world yet to harness electricity. Sound served as a crucial ally. The unsettling wail of a gate not only alerted a household, but spread a ripple of awareness throughout its surroundings. Iron's incorruptibility lay not merely in its strength, but in its ability to make noise. A steadfast guardian against the cloak of night, bells added another layer to this medieval soundscape. Fastened carefully to doors and windows, they sprang into jarring life at the slightest touch. The toll of a bell was simple yet profound, cutting through the silence as it routed intruders and perhaps warded off darker superstitions tied to the quiet of night. These small, sonorous defenders, whether crafted from iron or brass, offered not just a warning, but a divine resonance. They reverberated through the air, calling awake the heart and mind with sharp clarity, ensuring that no thief remained unnoticed or unchallenged. Inside homes, the architecture itself played a role in acoustics. Echoing corridors carried sound effortlessly, transforming a house into a vast acoustic network. Every whispered conversation, every stealthy footstep bounced through these spaces, turning inattentiveness into alertness. Builders, whether by chance or design, crafted homes with an ear for sound. The resonant vibrations of footsteps and voices coursed through stone and wood, ensuring that silence had no hold in these echoing spaces. Even beyond the home churches and cathedrals infused the medieval night with sacred songs. Hymns floated beyond consecrated walls, offering spiritual protection that mingled with the physical. Night watchmen borrowed these melodies, their voices threading through the taut expectancy of darkness. This melding of song and watchfulness added a layer of serenity and faith to the night's vigil, weaving a tapestry of sound that linked earthly protection with heavenly assurance. Ironically, it was the backdrop of intentional silence that heightened the tension and expectation of those medieval nights. Silence in its own right wielded immense power. Intruders honed their craft in mastering muted footfalls, turning stillness into a barely noticed art. The discipline required to navigate the quiet, to outwit the cacophonous barriers set by sound, was a challenge. Each misstep served as a reminder of silence's power, trap laid with novelty and craft by the very absence of noise. Medieval architecture, too, conspired with acoustics. Structures initially forged for practicality and aesthetics developed into intricate accomplices of sound. A mirrored relationship between sight and sound emerged, crafting impromptu deterrents to guard against mischief. Awning edges held stones that, when moved, signaled intrusion's subtle cues that mapped sound into structures, intertwining defensive precautions with environmental design. Nevertheless, despite the astute designs of sound and silence, bold vagabonds continued their ventures into the obscurity of medieval life. Emboldened with imagined prowess, they ventured into plots marked by flourishing soundscapes that seldom failed to expose them. Over time, wisdom accumulated through repeated attempts until failure clanged alongside their ambitions, as much as legend enshrouded medieval life. Sound, too, became a part of its folklore. Iron clanged against invisible evils. Pots banged into protective charms. Families drew upon these tales as much as upon their stockades of sound, embedding them into rituals. In a world veiled with divine and mundane collisions, sound intertwined with myth to bind homes in an embrace beyond the corporeal. Throughout these darkened echoes of the past, we find whispers of a world that leveraged sound as guardianship. Modern listeners may well pause to ponder, in a time when security hinges on silent technology. Could the tactile presence of gravel underfoot or the solemn clang of a bell still find a place in our hearts and thresholds? In such reimagining lies history's faded assurance sounds eternal vigil, a testament to enduring peace amid the whispers and creaks of a world long past but not forgotten. In the shadowy world of the medieval night, where every creak and rustle could spell danger, the partnership between humans and their animals became a bond of mutual reliance. In a time when locks were scarce and technology was little more than a distant dream, people turned to the natural instincts of their creatures for protection. Animals were not merely companions, but integral parts of everyday life, trained and accustomed to the rhythms of human existence. Imagine the cacophony of a medieval village at dusk, the sharp honk of a goose, the guttural bark of a loyal hound, and occasionally the braying of an unexpected sentinel, the humble donkey. Geese, surprisingly effective avian alarms, strutted their stuff in barnyards, their vigilance as ingrained as the land they guarded. Known for their territorial nature, they could spot danger long before their human counterparts. Their honking and echoing blast across fields was not just noise, but a signal that sent shivers through the spine of an intruder. Some say the sacred flock of geese in ancient Rome once alerted its citizens to an impending invasion. In the medieval imagination, geese were both feathered fiends and guardians of the night, blending practical usefulness with legendary status. Dogs mirrored this duality. Their roles transcended mere companionship, becoming vigilant protectors. Whether trotting alongside noble huntsmen or curling up by a peasant's hearth, they sensed every shift in their surroundings, the crunch of foreign feet on gravel, the unsettling rustle of unseen threats. Chroniclers from the era recounted tales of dogs whose keen senses turned the tide of nocturnal dangers, their significant barks vibrating through the wooden beams of their homes, sending intruders fleeing into the night. Let us not overlook the donkey, an unlikely watchman with a bray that carried like an unwelcome alarm across the silent expanses. Perceptive and stubborn, the donkey could detect disturbances in its environment with surprising skill. Though often underestimated, these creatures were astute defenders, their braying an unbidden wake-up call to any who dared wander too close. Without invitation, they might not have been hailed as guardians like the fierce mastiff or the spirited goose, but their presence was nonetheless valued. Their contribution to safety was woven into the backstories of pastoral life. The bond between humans and animals was cemented not just by proximity, but by shared purpose and mutual dependency. People trusted these animals, goose, dog, or donkey, relying on their instincts and companionship to create a living alarm system. This bond evolved through years of careful training and nurturing. Families poured time into developing trust, with each animal shaping their responses through attention and care. It wasn't merely about feeding them scraps of food around a flickering hearth. It was about creating a shared understanding, a rapport that bridged the language of species. In medieval communities, animals transcended their roles from farmhands to guardians. Their presence was a reassuring hum beneath the clamor of daily life. The collective vigilance they fostered extended beyond individual households, rippling through villages and coursing across manorial lands. A sudden honk or bark didn't just wake one household. It stirred a communal awareness, a web of watchfulness stretching through homes, nestled against the night. Here, animals were more than simple assets in a ledger of necessity. They were integral players in the delicate balance of survival. Their instincts were stitched into the fabric of communal trust. The stories of their loyalty and courage became part of cherished lore. Tales of brave dogs confronting intruders or geese averting calamity echoed through the ages. These creatures, bound to their human families through centuries of coexistence, became legends in their own right, their deeds immortalized in songs and fireside stories. Even donkeys found their place in this narrative, their unlikely heroism a reminder that protection often comes from the most unexpected places. In today's age of technological marvels, the medieval reliance on animals seems anachronistic, yet speaks to timeless truths about relationships and trust. Even as modern life races forward with digital alarms and security systems, nostalgia for these living sentinels lingers, a whisper from the past, reminding us of nature's simpler, enduring power. The lessons drawn from this era encompass the significance of channeling the best of what surrounds us, testament to humanity's innate wisdom to live harmoniously with its environment. As we reflect on those shadowy nights of old, listening to the tales spun by the fire's glow, we can't help but admire how these simple creatures, in league with their human partners, turned the medieval world into a vigilant society. They inspire a charming truth. Some things, like trust and dependable companionship, are timeless, unbound by the march of progress. A legacy spanning from the echoes of a goose's honk to the bark of a dog, resonating through the ages. In medieval times, community life thrived on intertwined relationships, more profound and robust than today's fragmented interactions. In villages, townsfolk and castle occupants shared not only their spaces but their lives. Each window offered a glimpse into the daily dramas of its tenants, and every door concealed stories of familial ties and collective survival. Neighbors bonded over shared concerns like roaming sheep or misplaced valuables. These communities leaned on each other, not just for company, but as ever-watchful protectors against an ever-present tide of adversity. Bound by proximity, medieval folks understood an enduring truth that strength lay in unity. Homes were often clustered tightly around communal squares or market centers, a geographic arrangement that facilitated both social interaction and security. Daily life unfolded amid constant exchanges of stories, goods, and glances of vigilance. In such environments, strangers and suspicious activities had no place to hide. With scarce formal law enforcement, an unspoken contract to protect one another bound these people together, crafting an organic, living, vigilant system. This vigilant network included what we might call the nosy neighbors, but in reality, they were the informal sentinels. Armed only with sharp senses and a keen understanding of their environment, these keen observers were the medieval equivalent of modern-day security cameras. They noticed everything, even the slightest changes, like a foreign cart at the market, or a newly wandering chicken. Their tales, preserved over time, reveal a mix of charm, intrigue, and an unyielding dedication to their community. Through their stories, which featured everything from stolen goods to lost children, you get glimpses of vibrant village life, reminding us how certain roles never truly change across the ages. When night descended, medieval towns relied on their watchmen. These men, primarily volunteers, patrolled streets with lanterns and staffs. Their footsteps echoed off cobblestones, a reassuring rhythm in the still night. Calling out the hours, they became living reminders of persistent vigilance. The night watch wasn't just a practical measure. It was a lifeline. Some places had organized paid watches, while others relied on men's civic duty. They acted as the first responders, directing townsfolk's attention to potential threats, sometimes saving entire communities with their quick actions and alert awareness. Simple devices like bells and lanterns played vital roles in the medieval defense narrative. A bell's toll could rally an entire village or warn them of impending danger. Each clang had significance, transforming the nighttime silence into a code understood by all. Lanterns to communicated intentions. A raised light signaled ongoing patrols, while its abrupt extinguishment spoke of sudden peril. Stories abound of humble bells thwarting theft or rallying villagers to drive away threats, illustrating the potent symbolism of these tools. Defense lay in shared responsibility, with duties systematically rotated among community members. From local archives come lists detailing finely tuned plans, where every household contributed to communal safety. Even the youngest bore roles, carrying messages or supplies, a training ground for future protectors. Such rotations extended beyond immediate threats to include supervision of barns, resources, and hunting grounds. They fostered a deeper kinship, binding the community together in trust and teaching practical lessons in cooperation. In a world with no written contracts, trust and reputation were the foundations of medieval society. Good standing was currency. Breaches of trust, especially those affecting communal security, led to severe repercussions. Being ostracized could mean an ignoble form of self-exile. Chronicles of betrayal, like a trusted guard turned thief, show the rapid justice delivered. In response, conversely, tales of bravery solidified the standing of those who defended their peers, illustrating how reputation was as significant as any physical barrier. Justice often played out in village squares, more public performance than mere punishment. These spectacles reinforced community standards, ensuring everyone understood the consequences of straying from societal norms. Trials, often governed by clergy or respected tradesmen, drew neighbors to witness and participate. For instance, thieves caught by night watchmen might face immediate public restitution, with community service exacted as penance. These rituals were not just punitive, but served as societal scripts, reinforcing order in a time of relative chaos. Ultimately, medieval villagers accepted their perpetual roles as defenders. When threats loomed, they knew their roles. Answers to bell alarms or the town crier's calls brought them together. Their defenses were often ingenious, involving misdirection or organized confusion to deter enemies. They relocated precious resources, concocted false leads, and obscured vulnerabilities, tactics showing creativity and collective willpower. These strategies showed how unity turned fear into manageable situations, transforming every person into a vital part of the community's protective mesh. As towns expanded and evolved, defense became a more sophisticated when it came to protecting one's domain. With technology absent and resources often scarce, homeowners leaned into creativity to safeguard their families from unwanted trespasses. The simple yet effective use of booby traps provided an unexpected edge, blending the natural elements of wood, stone, and thorns with basic mechanics to transform ordinary landscapes into vigilant sentinels. The intent behind these traps wasn't to cause fatal harm, but to startle and deter. Imagine walking along a dimly lit path only to find yourself ensnared by thorns. The sting and ensuing panic could unsettle even the most determined thief. This psychological warfare played on primal fears. A thief caught entangled and fleeing was less likely to return. Homes fortified with such sly designs gained reputations that traveled far and wide, building a mystique of invincibility that kept potential intruders at bay. Perhaps the starkest of these defenses were swinging logs and falling stones, borrowing heavily from techniques used in hunting wildlife. A carefully suspended log released by a mere tripwire would swing with surprising force. Stones placed precariously over doorways or ledges would cascade with a single misstep, creating a formidable deterrent. Such traps were devilishly difficult to detect, camouflaged within the environment. The resounding crash of a falling rock was enough to jolt an entire household awake, a vital advantage in an age where swift action often determines survival. Nature's own boundaries, like thorn pits, provided another line of defense, camouflaged with leaves or straw. These pits waited patiently for an unfortunate step into their depths. For intruders, falling into a thorn pit meant not only injury but also the dread of capture, tangled and struggling with alarm bells ringing in their ears. A subtle accompaniment to these measures was the use of sound as an invisible alarm. Noise, especially under the cloak of night, became an ally in defense. Simple setups like stacks of pots or tripwires attached to metal objects would create a racket when disturbed. The clatter of tumbling pans not only announced an intrusion to the household, but could alert the neighborhood, amplifying the security presence without the need for complex systems. Yet, fire, a dual symbol of warmth and peril, offered its own fiery rebuttal to night prowlers. A small, managed blaze, set to ignite if a door was forced, created both light and menace. Fire's flicker pierced the darkness, exposing any intruder and summoning the eyes of nearby folks. This flame wasn't just physically daunting. It tapped into a deep-rooted primal fear of infernos, took cues from battleground tactics to enhance home security. These spiked devices, scattered covertly, caused sharp pain upon contact, slowing footpads and delaying their covert escape. The very knowledge of such deterrence, laying low in the shadows, fostered hesitation and dread in would-be intruders, cementing a home's fearsome reputation. Some, instead of leaning on overt traps, focused on deception through crafted misdirection. These setups involved leading intruders through paths designed to corral them into traps or back outside, exploiting their instincts for speed and stealth. Such strategies required thoughtful design and presented a cerebral challenge to the traditional might-overmind approach, reminding us that often the subtlest plans yield the greatest victories. Water features, wells and canals became nocturnal guardians, sculpted by cunning minds. By night, their still surfaces became deceptive, hiding tricky depths. An intruder's unplanned plunge into chilly waters extinguished stealth, sparking a hasty, sodden flight. This defense played on perception, turning ordinary landscapes into extraordinary barriers with a power that whispered rather than shouted warnings. And there was the sheer psychological spellbinding through unnerving visual props, grotesque effigies, or sinister carvings stationed by doorways invoked the era's deep-seated superstitions. In the flickering glow of torches, these figures exuded an eerie sense of observation, causing hesitation. This subtle use of cultural fears broke would-be thieves' resolve, making safe havens feel alive with ancient magic guarding their thresholds. As we conclude our exploration of these medieval tricks and tactics, one cannot help but admire the resourcefulness of this bygone era. It wasn't merely about physical defense, but a testament to human adaptability, where creativity met necessity head-on. Each household, unique in its strategies, wove a tapestry of myth and reality designed to protect those within. These historical defenses, humble yet profound in their simple genius. The human spirit will always stretch its imagination beyond boundaries to innovate and survive. In the heart of medieval times, architecture was more than mere construction. It was defense. Every stone laid, every beam set, was part of a grand design to protect the people within. Homes didn't flaunt sprawling entrances welcoming all. No, their passages were narrow, just wide enough for a single weary wanderer to slip through. This design served as a buffer not only against the elements, but against unsavory guests. Imagine a single defender standing steadfast at such a threshold, holding back a horde, buying time for those inside to prepare. The creak of thick wooden doors, set deep within sturdy walls, signaled a formidable barrier to would-be intruders, forcing even the bravest to rethink their intentions as each moment and clatter risked drawing attention. These homes merged security seamlessly with day-to-day life. As residents squeezed through these doorways, they scrutinized each face, discerning whether the person outside was a friend or a foe. After all, nights were cloaked in darkness, the kind that doesn't merely hide, but swallows everything whole. The architecture extended beyond the physical. Windows, scarcely more than slits, resonated with the sternness of a fortress, wall-high and barred to keep prying hands and eyes at bay. They evoked arrow loops in massive stone castles, more about discouragement than invitation. To imagine thieves attempting to climb through those heights was ludicrous, the act more comedic than cunning. These windows weren't just barriers. They were declarations, a promise that justice would be swift, The psychological edge of these constructions wove through society, offering peace of mind alongside the physical security they provided. The narrow corridors and windows represented both the limits of entry for strangers and a reassurance for inhabitants. These homes had true foresight, defending not just with stone and wood, but with a lingering shadow of vigilance that rested easy with local folk, yet unnerved the alien eye. Intruders felt that uneath the almost eerie sense that many eyes watched through the silence, breaking their will before the attempt began. Communities weren't just clusters of such homes. They were interconnected fortresses, villages molded themselves into collective shields against the chaos beyond their borders. Houses nestled close, sharing walls and watchful eyes. Should something go amiss, an entire row of homes could leap to defense. It was communal vigilance at its finest, with streets acting more like intertwined battlegrounds than free winding designs caught trespassers in a maze, purchased time for defenders, and reminded intruders they ventured into a place where unity reigned supreme. In an era without high-tech security or sprawling estates, cost was ever a concern. The simplicity of these designs belied their practicality. By investing in solid wood for doors, or seeking the best local stonemason for secure window placements, families secured their abodes without draining coffers. These choices were not born out of austerity alone, but were intelligent, efficient, and rich in practicality. Proof that greatness in design often comes not from extravagance, but from pure necessity. The unyielding design of narrow and secure spaces also spoke to a shared cultural identity, the mystique of a united front. Such unified style, while seemingly restrictive, allowed communities to strengthen bonds while maintaining a sense of order. The architectural identity tied social threads, uniting residents in function and form. Homes displayed unity, whispering to every traveler or trader that within those walls, ideals were shared and cooperation was paramount. Over time, as threats faded and society shifted, designs evolved. Yet, even as grander entrances or larger windows took over, one could still trace the lines of their medieval ancestors. The foundations of these old homes spoke of lessons learned, reminding us of the enduring strength hidden in those stoic structures. They stood as timeless mementos of a world that knew vulnerability but refused to bow to it, weaving these principles into the core of enduring architecture. Medieval architecture was more than functional. Artisans, blacksmiths, carpenters, masons, their hearts into their work, blending security with beauty. Iron bars on windows weren't merely practical, but were canvases adorned with ornate designs that balanced finesse with ferocity. Every door, studied with intricate patterns, was a testament that art and security were not mutually exclusive. This heritage endures a lesson stenciled in time that reminds us of the artful symphony that marries resilience with artistry in the dance of medieval dwellings. By marrying defense and beauty, the architectural choices of the Middle Ages remain bound in the tapestry of human history. They illustrate that protection extends beyond boundaries, embracing the spirit within, signaling artistry in adversity, and echoing lessons as relevant now as they were then. As we walk through these ancient corridors, either physically or by tales told by flickering firelight, they invite us to appreciate the lengths once taken to safeguard lives and how they still inform our attempts to create peace within our own sanctuaries today. Long before today's digital safes, medieval folks adopted the most elemental vault of all, the earth itself. Without the security of modern locks, they cleverly turned to their surroundings to mask their valuables, burying them beneath gardens and fields. It required a sharp sense of one's environment and the kind of craftiness that turned ordinary patches of land into treasure troves. Imagine a peasant stashing gold coins under a tree or in a nondescript plot. This approach transformed dirt and grass into nature's security detail. For the medieval thief, trying to uncover such hidden treasures was like chasing smoke, nearly impossible without insider knowledge. The art of concealment was as much about human memory as it was about hidden spots. Families, often with little formal education, relied on oral tradition to pass down locations of buried riches, turning a tree or stone into landmarks laden with family lore. This oral handing down of secrets became a vibrant thread that worked its way through generations. Storytelling merged with survival instincts, giving rise to hidden treasures that were more than mere valuables. They became legacy, ingenuity, and continuity woven into the earth itself. Even when concealment was not an option, locked chests became common fixtures in medieval homes, blending seamlessly with their environment. Constructed from robust wood and bound with iron, these chests were both furniture and fortresses. Whether holding a peasant's scant savings or a lord's ornate jewels, the chests were artful, with designs that spoke of their occupant's style and wealth. With intricate carvings and discreet ironwork, these furnishings became a dance of function and form. They held more than mundane items. They were riddles, clad in wooden facades designed to outwit any intruder. Beyond locks, owners layered chests with secret compartments and misleading contents. A simple lock was just a first line of defense. False bottoms and hidden sections turned the chest into a labyrinthine puzzle. A nosy thief might uncover nothing more than grain or clothes on the surface, all while the true treasures lay concealed beneath in a metaphorical nesting doll of security. Here lay a world of wealth shrouded by the everyday clutterer, testament to cunning over complexity, taking concealment a step beneath. The cunning architect of the time might incorporate hidden compartments within a home's very foundations. Underfloor concealment turned humble abodes into covert strongholds. Wooden floorboards, fireplace hearths, these were allies in secrecy, with spaces fashioned for stashing coins and documents out of sight. These hidden recesses didn't just protect treasures, they preserved the resilience and resourcefulness of those who forged identities teetering on the edge of survival. Imagine the thrill of lifting a floorboard to reveal stories of the past. Gardens, too, played a quietly subversive role. Beneath the vibrant bloom of medieval flora lay closely guarded secrets. Here, religious artifacts might rest beside herbs, while coins mingled with common plant roots. These were not merely gardens, but living canvases under which secrets lay fertilized by the soil's depth. They flourished as guardians, feeding off the randomness of nature, offering further refuge to those who understood the subtleties of garden design and the safety it bestowed. Craftsmanship of the era became the art of concealment. Beautiful household items doubled as secret keepers. Sturdy wooden sculptures and innocuous furniture possessed hidden compartments, transforming ordinary aesthetics into extraordinary defenses. The artistry lay beyond appearances, where deception married beauty seamlessly. Simple objects harboring grand secrets, either decorative yet practical. Only those aware of the guise could appreciate the dual nature and the security afforded. By such masterful obfuscation, medieval monks and clergy also shared this talent for secrecy. Monasteries and abbeys served not just spiritual quests, but as sanctuaries of storied vaults filled with religious and political treasures. Beyond their whispered prayers lay hidden rooms within stone cloisters, accessible only to the knowledgeable. These architectural marvels cloaked spiritual relics and worldly gains, their quiet echoes deepening the aura of mystery and sanctity. Moreover, itinerant merchants, always on the move across trade routes, wielded concealment as an art form of survival. Their wagons, essential for commerce, were equipped with numerous hidden compartments. Here, valuables intertwined seamlessly with mundane goods, protecting them from the prying eyes of both bandits and tax collectors alike. These merchants honed the subtleties of disguise, ensuring hidden profits traveled safely across continents, forever safeguarded against the turmoil of their journeys. But not all treasures were tangible. Some were sentimental, disguised in the form of everyday garments, like mittens or amulets, with pockets sewn for keepsakes or protective charms. These wearables became the unassuming vessels of memory and sentiment, clothed in simplicity yet shielding personal items. Ingenious stitching and embroidery turned articles of clothing into hidden sanctuaries, offering comfort against the stormy seas of life. Thus, the legacy of medieval concealment continues to enchant, drawing archaeologists and historians to uncover these tales of hidden wealth. Each discovery breathes life into whispers of the past, stirring the imagination and sketching vivid maps of a time when the art of hiding was as crucial as the treasures it protected. As modern seekers unravel these layers, they piece together humanity's endless pursuit of securing what is cherished amidst the ripples of time, reminding us of a world where the perilous joy of concealment was as real as any fortified wall. In the shadowy world of medieval justice, vengeance against thieves took on the form of public spectacle. A crime like theft was not merely a breach of law, but a betrayal of communal trust. With no formal police force, villages and towns relied heavily on the community to not only catch the guilty, but also to participate in their punishment. Trials were public events filled with drama and ritual, not just a means of judging the accused, but a method of affirming social order. These gatherings often saw the accused facing their peers, with verdicts swayed more by public sentiment and reputation than by hard evidence. Justice in this era often required the accused to swear oaths of innocence, supported by oath helpers, people who vouched for them. Sometimes trials resorted to ordeals where fire or water would supposedly reveal divine judgment on the accused's guilt. The outcomes of these trials showcase the medieval view of justice, blending faith, superstition, and a communal narrative of morality. A thief, once convicted, faced punishments designed to deter not only by their severity, but also by their lasting visibility. Branding and mutilation were common methods of reprimand, leaving lasting marks as both punishment and warning. Branding with hot irons imprinted criminals with symbols of their crime, usually on visible parts of the body. This mark was an indelible warning to society and a burden on its bearer. Mutilation, often more brutal, served to physically impede further crimes. Thieves might lose a hand or an stark penalty, deterring others from similar paths. These punishments were as much a public declaration of justice as they were acts of personal retribution. But it was not only the body that bore punishment. Shame was wielded powerfully by medieval communities. Stocks and pillories became sites of public humiliation, where offenders were displayed for ridicule and scorn. Bound for all to see, thieves endured not just physical discomfort, but a psychological torment that lingered long after. The fear of such public shame enforced community norms and served as a deterrent more potent than any physical punishment. The ultimate spectacle of medieval justice was the executioner, grim but powerful event that went beyond the mere removal of a wrongdoer. Executions were public affairs designed to underscore the severe consequences of disturbing the societal order. They weren't solely punitive. They were cathartic displays of moral instruction. The condemned often uttered final words of repentance, turning their last moments into lessons witnessed by many. These moments left a tangible imprint on communities, reinforcing the strict lines separating right from wrong. Even after a thief was dealt justice, their name became a lasting reminder of their crime. Public shaming extended to a town crier, announcing the offender's name and crime, embedding it into the very fabric of community memory. This act of naming and shaming held social and familial consequences, for kin of the guilty were frequently tainted by association. The spiritual dimensions of such public announcements were equally damaging, with clerical condemnation adding a divine weight to their earthly punishment. Names once cursed and infamous could doom families to a legacy of shame. Such notorious events naturally seeped into local legends and folklore, forever preserved as cautionary tales passed down through generations. These stories, tinged with the supernatural, warned future generations of the perils of transgression. In an era where oral history thrived, these tales stood as cultural markers of societal norms, often embellishing facts with elements of fate to teach important lessons about morality. Yet, beneath the spectacle, there was a human story of struggle and desperation influencing acts of crime. Many thieves stole out of necessity, driven to desperate measures by the harsh realities of feudal life. Economic instability, like famine, often left individuals on the brink of survival. The oppressive social systems, with their rigid hierarchies, offered little reprieve for the downtrodden. For some, theft became an act of resistance against an unjust system as much as a means of survival. Medieval justice, despite its brutality, allowed for limited redemption. Genuine penitence could pave a path back into society for some offenders. Acts of public apology or compensatory labor might restore a measure of lost trust. The Church occasionally played mediator, offering spiritual reintegration and a chance to start anew. Religious penances provided a forum for reformation, while familial support could sometimes negotiate an offender's return to community life. The existence of such avenues, though few and far between, spoke to a medieval understanding of justice that combined harsh discipline with a glimmer of rehabilitation. Finally, the irony of medieval justice lay in its unequal application across social classes. Nobles often faced less severe consequences for similar or worse crimes. Their wealth and influence paved paths toward leniency unavailable to commoners. This discrepancy highlighted a system deeply entrenched in hierarchy, where justice was as much about status as about law. Yet, despite its faults, the medieval approach to crime and punishment offers reflections that remain instructive today. It reinforces the need for justice systems that balance retribution with rehabilitation and ensure equity across societal lines. As we've journeyed through these archaic yet fascinating tales of medieval justice, we are reminded that history seldom offers simple narratives. If you've enjoyed uncovering these stories, please like this video and subscribe for more journeys into the past's eerie chapters.